I love gaming on the PC platform. I really, really do. I've been enjoying it for many a decade. And what I love about it truly cannot be said, but I'll try my best right now. I love the fact that it's an open platform. I love the fact that I can do emulation with all the other older consoles. I love the fact that I have abandonware games. I love GOG. I love Steam. I love the ability to play any game from any platform at any time right here on one device. I love customizing my hardware. I love being able to change out the GPU, CPU, add new RAM. My own limit is my own imagination. But the thing is, there are problems with gaming on PC, and there is one big problem in the room that seems to have a vice grip on the entire industry itself, and that company is called NVIDIA. Now, we've talked about NVIDIA on this channel before. In fact, I've been calling this company out for quite some time. For some reason, though, this company of GPUs seems to have a massive grip on everyone, regardless of whatever you talk about in gaming itself. We see every kind of fanboy talk about, oh, this console is a 1080 Ti, even though the actual SoC made for that console brand is by AMD, so I don't get how that works. We've seen idiots call the PS5 Pro equivalent and or better to a 4090 GPU, which also doesn't make any sense since AMD also made that SoC.
We've been telling you that this thing was going to cost $700, and we told you and told you and told you. And instead of you all just saving your money like we told you, you were like, well, I'll never do it. And guess what? This thing's more powerful than a 4090. It is. A friend of mine, he called me. He has a 4090. He was like, look, I struggle with this. You know, he said he's struggling with it because he's seen that this thing do things that the 4090 can't do. It's not going to do this. It's going to struggle.
I think the best part about this kind of hobby is being able to call out and see how quickly idiots basically make fun of themselves and literally fall face first into this entire hobby, as so many others far more intelligent seem to call them out. Now, here's the thing. I'm not the end-all be-all of PC gaming. I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to. What I do know, however, is how NVIDIA themselves as a company and corporation have taken the one thing that have put them on the map and have tossed them aside. I'm talking about you, the actual PC gaming consumer. You are no longer of any importance to NVIDIA at all whatsoever. In fact, Gamescom the other day during their presentation basically showed that specifically, because we've been seeing how NVIDIA has been treating its actual customers and consumers over the past 3 generations of GPUs. I'm talking the 50 series, the 40 series, and 30 series. We've had to deal with everything under the sun, from the cryptocurrency boom all the way down to now ChatGPT and AI basically taking over everything. And on top of that, instead of things getting better for the actual customer consumer, they've gotten effectively worse. You see, NVIDIA has actually hit a $4 trillion market cap, being one of the most profitable companies on the entire planet. And lo and behold, everybody knows that in Corpo, the green line has to always go up. And if you have 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 week, 1 day, 1 year where that line dips slightly by 2.5%, heads are going to roll across the sales floor, baby. And NVIDIA being at this market cap shows one thing and one thing only. They can no longer rely on simply you as an actual consumer to go ahead and create more products and more abilities for you to buy products from NVIDIA. They no longer care about the actual regular gaming customer. What they care about is, in fact, AI, and they've been doing it for quite some time. And when you talk about the inclusion of AI, it's being implemented in everything NVIDIA does. In fact, I'm on the firm belief that you are no longer buying better GPUs gen over gen. What you're buying instead are basically just slightly up-tuned GPUs with slightly better specs, but then being ham-fisted and shoved full of nothing but AI upscaling and frame generation. And if you don't believe me, look at what the 5070 was proposed to do.
With the Blackwell family RTX 5070, 4090 performance at 549. Impossible without artificial intelligence. Impossible without the 4 teraops of AI tensor cores. Impossible without the G7 memories. Okay, so 5070, 4090 performance, $549, and here's the whole family.
That's right, a 5070 going around and performing like a 4090, except what you don't realize and what he didn't tell you is it only had that kind of performance when it was upscaling the resolution from a much lower resolution in the first place and using fake interpolated frame rates. I think it was like 3 fake frames for every 1 actual rendered frame. So we are now getting to the point now where consumers are in fact not even buying better hardware, but they're being tricked into buying snake oil in the first place as they get fake interpolated AI frames, which of course cause input latency, and at the same time not even getting actual rasterized resolution, but instead is being upscaled via AI. You're not paying for GPUs anymore, you're paying for the ability to use the software on the AI for that GPU to in fact get the performance you were promised in the first place, while also paying a much more expensive price in the previous gen. Surprise! Isn't that how great things go nowadays? But you see, NVIDIA's insane love of AI doesn't stop there. In fact, WCCF Tech reported this the other day. NVIDIA is set to enter the humanoid robots segment pretty soon, as its key partner Foxconn prepares for production lines for a potential showcase by November. That's right, we've moved past GPUs and AI and upscaling in the first place. We're now working towards humanoid robots because NVIDIA is trying to capture everything it possibly can for this insane AI train. And if you don't believe me, here's exactly what NVIDIA showed during one of its showcases, talking about how AI will impact video games in the first place, creating their own type of speech. In fact, it's called NVIDIA ACE, where it's going around and creating AI models either for animation and or speech for middleware in video games. We've seen this happen before. This push that NVIDIA always tends to do into technologies that really don't help game developers at all, if you want to ask me, and don't do anything at all for the consumer either. We had the exact same thing happen when ray tracing was first introduced with the 20 series GPUs. And Gamers Nexus did a great expose about ray tracing and talking about how it's being used in Cyberpunk and the actual differences that you can barely even see while you're playing.
Next up is the parade scene. Ray tracing has less of an effect on this set piece than we expected here. This is clearly a scene that artists spent a lot of manual effort on specifically, and as a result, the main differences between No RT and RT Psycho end up being the reflective surface of the barge. The building in the background also gains some definition with lighting from the dragon. The brightness of the building in the background is also the main difference when moving from RT Psycho to the new path tracing, while the bird at the front of the barge is darker with path tracing. This is a scene we handpicked from memory as one that should have some really incredible path tracing, but instead, it served as a demonstration, educationally, that the artists have already done a good job with traditional light placement in manually tuned scenes where they want a specific effect.
People talk about, I can't wait for the 6090. I can't wait for the 5090 Ti my balls edition. Like spending $2,000 on a graphics card does nothing for you as a gamer at all. Those GPUs are not gaming GPUs. There's a reason why they were called the Titan class cards before they were moved to the 90 series, which didn't even exist. Those GPUs were then marketed as a 90 series card because they wanted to get suckers in the gaming industry, all those insane enthusiasts, to walk around and spend exorbitant amounts of money, $2,000 plus for a GPU, and the only way you even get your money's worth out of those GPUs is in fact when you're using frame generation and DLSS to upscale it. I'm sorry, if I bought a $2,000 GPU, my expectation is it's going to run every game without needing those things in the first place. That's why you spent $2,000. But the problem is NVIDIA doesn't care about GPUs anymore. They really don't. What they care about is AI. And in fact, it's gotten so bad that Gamers Nexus did a full 3.5-hour video exposing the secret black market of NVIDIA GPUs being shipped to China. According to videocards.com on Twitter, they said this: NVIDIA is keeping one eye open and one eye closed in Gamers Nexus's 3.5-hour documentary on China's AI GPU black market. At the center of this controversy is NVIDIA. Its products are essential for modern AI workloads. While the company insists it follows export laws, its hardware continues to appear in restricted markets. Critics argue that the current policy has only driven trade underground, with smugglers and buyers quickly adapting. For now, the black market remains thriving and highly profitable, underscoring how difficult it is to contain the spread of advanced computing power. There is so much more that Steve and Gamers Nexus uncovered in that documentary. I highly suggest you take 3.5 hours out of your day and watch the entire thing. All the work they've done, everything about that entire thing truly exposes how NVIDIA literally does not care as long as they make the sale, as long as there is a reason for their AI and their information to be used to go through and gain more products being sold as they gain more market share. They don't care if it's in the black market. They don't care if it's smuggled. All they care about is that people buy the product. And the issue is AI is going to be a massive problem moving forward for the gaming industry and the regular Joe like you and me just trying to get a good GPU to play video games. Because you're no longer going to be getting that at all. What you're going to be getting instead is a GPU that's mildly better in rasterization and then being shoved with nothing more than frame generation and AI and upscaling, because that is all NVIDIA is in fact focusing on. It's gotten so bad though that NVIDIA is now incredibly concerned, as there are true competitors in that AI market in China specifically. According to WCCF Tech, NVIDIA's emerging AI chip rival in China, Cambicron, plans to raise $560 million to boost competition as Beijing moves to mandate homegrown AI chips for data centers. So now you have NVIDIA, who's been riding the AI train for quite some time, who's at a $4 trillion market cap already, who has had their products being smuggled into China to advance AI directly. And here we have Cambicron, its very own in-house Chinese company, going through and getting enough money to rival NVIDIA and what they're doing, to go through and remove some of that share from what NVIDIA has to offer in the first place. And this is why I'm so upset about everything. Every single time a corpo does this, it always impacts you, the consumer, in the worst possible way. You no longer become the main point and focus. You become secondary or even tertiary in every single kind of product that comes out. Oh, a new GPU comes out? Yeah, raise the floor of that GPU by another $100. Make them pay for it, because they will, because we're the only ones in the market right now, because nobody really buys AMD because they're just and I mean, literally, AMD CEO and Jensen Huang are literally, they're cousins, if you didn't know that already. I don't know, it's literally an oligopoly, but hey, that's how things kind of operate around here, apparently. You know what I'm saying? And go through and simply just push this AI to the moon as they rake in more money over and over again. The problem is, though, this creates more competition in that space, and they're letting go of the one kind of customer and consumer that has had their back the entire time, and that is us, the gamer. Instead of giving us better products, instead of giving us better upgrades over time, or even just saying, hey, we're going to make the GPUs cheaper and sell it to more customers and consumers, they've been turning the crank, tightening the handle, making it more difficult for you in the first place. They could have easily done all the things possible to make GPUs more cost effective, but they chose not to because they have a massive share over the market. And AMD basically just copying everything NVIDIA does step by step, toe by toe, because they even copied NVIDIA's literal actual naming convention with the 90 series GPUs, going through and saying, hey, we're just going to do what they do. Am I right, guys? Literally providing, again, no competition and making a pure oligopoly in the space. But you see, things tend to always, in fact, get worse. And this time it's not going to be for us. But what I mean is that it's for NVIDIA itself. You see, according to WCCF Tech as well, Asus GeForce RTX 5090 finally comes down to MSRP on a major North American retailer. 6 months after the launch of the flagship NVIDIA RTX 50 series card is now seeing steady decline in prices, which indicates better availability than ever before. The RTX 5090 drops to official MSRP. You can now get the Asus Tough Edition for $199 at Best Buy. Boy, I sure do love paying $2,000 for a GPU. Isn't it great that it's finally at MSRP? The fact that this graphics card and many others on not only the NVIDIA but also AMD side cannot launch at actual MSRP basically goes to show you, again, as a consumer, are not what's important anymore. They are more focused on AI garbage slop and trying to put everything on that space in the first place, while going through and giving you a worse product overall with less performance for what you're actually trying to pay. And then at the same time trying to convince you, saying, oh, if you turn on these other factors like DLSS to have lower resolution internally, but then upscale it with our AI. And if you're getting low frame rates, well, you know what? Don't worry about that, boys. Hit this switch and get magic frame rate boosts out of nowhere. It's our own AI making fake frames in between the real ones. So when you're playing a fast-paced game, boy, it sure does feel like shit when you're doing it. You gotta love that concept. The fact that both these companies, AMD and Nvidia, are always doing insane soft paper launches, not giving you the actual product at proper MSRP, not giving you a product with good price to performance, constantly raising the floor of the actual cost of GPUs, and then reducing everyone and not giving a proper budget entry GPU with 16 or 12 gigabytes of RAM. For some reason, AMD and Nvidia love to go through and say, hey, 8 gigs? Everybody likes 8 gigs, right? I mean, if you're playing an esports game, all you need is 8 gigs at 1080p. You know what I'm saying? That's not acceptable. Not in 2025 anymore. There are so many games that are not esports games that people want to play at 1080p, and you can't even max the game out for a proper price. The 60 series GPUs should be at $249 at the most, and they should come with 12 gigs of VRAM at the minimum as a 1080p card. There's no reason these GPUs should be costing as much as they already do. And I think I have the idea right here. They're trying to use AI as a crutch, whether it is to reduce the resolution that you're using or even add fake generated frames, to go ahead and remove the amount of VRAM necessary for you to actually run that game properly, to make you use AI as a crutch to go through and run it with their actual software in the first place. That way they can save on cost during production and not having to add more VRAM and finding other ways of actually providing a better product for you, the customer and consumer. And you know what? I'm going to make a bold prediction here as well. There's going to be at some point in some way that you will no longer need a PC or a GPU in your home in the first place. They're going to try and do everything via streaming. And if you don't believe me, look at this. NVIDIA GeForce Now tweeted this out the other day saying, big news, NVIDIA Blackwell RTX is coming to GeForce Now, which means GeForce RTX 5080 class GPUs are joining the ultimate fleet. New install to play multiplies your cloud library with access to over 2,500 more Steam games, more frames on more devices, 90 FPS on the Steam Deck, racing wheels, and more. This tells me one thing and one thing only. NVIDIA's main point is that they're going to try at some point in the future go through and have to make minimal amounts of actual GPUs for gaming itself and sell you the service instead. And if they do sell you the GPU, they'll keep raising the floor of its prices over and over again, forcing you into their service without having to buy the actual hardware, and instead selling that hardware directly to other manufacturers and AI outlets in other countries to use instead, where they will make far more money overall. You are no longer the main consumer. You as a gamer are no longer part of the actual reason why NVIDIA became successful in the first place. You are now just a brick on the wall. And the crazier part is that the fact that there are NVIDIA fanboys and AMD fanboys walking around trying to defend these companies and corporations, giving them worse products. I'm incredibly shocked that AMD did the right thing, and the 9070 XT is in fact exactly where it should be and outperforms so many other NVIDIA GPUs. But the problem is, it's hard to find that GPU at MSRP right now. At the same time, though, you've got NVIDIA going around and hedging all their bets into the AI sphere, and you know, at some point, that's going to crash and burn. That back in January, a shocking Chinese AI advancement called DeepSeek was sending US stocks plummeting. And I'm not going to get into the craziness about the fact that DeepSeek has been used for malware and scammers as well, and the hype around it has incredibly died since the actual earlier in January. But the problem is just the actual announcement of that AI sent everything into a tailspin. Just the fact that it literally existed sent the entire US stock market into a frenzy. And that's the problem with all of this. I feel NVIDIA has lost sight of what made them great in the first place by offering good products to customers and consumers and being competitive against AMD and fighting for your dollar. Unfortunately, they know that there are so many people who are just brand loyal to NVIDIA for whatever particular reason, because it may be the household name. They just keep buying those GPUs over and over again. But NVIDIA will continue to provide you with less capable products, more expensive products, and even then, more snake oil to sell you, more fake generated frames. I can't wait for the 5 fake generated frames in between the one rasterized frame when you're paying $2,500 or $3,000 for a 6090 GPU because they wanted to upgrade DLSS. This is the part that really upsets me the most about PC gaming. You're no longer having access to your proper hardware. You're no longer getting good upgrades every single time you want to upgrade. The amount of performance that you get for the price that you pay are exponentially out of whack, and things don't make sense. And then for some reason, you have idiots all over the internet just talking about, yeah, bro, I spent $1,200 on my GPU. It's great, worth every penny. When we all know that's not the case at all. And the first thing they do is take DLSS, put it on ultra performance, and then put frame generation on, and they think they got the best deal of all time. And that's the kind of sucker NVIDIA loves to get because they know they're going to keep buying those GPUs over and over again. But I feel like this is going to fall in a really bad way for NVIDIA if they don't make some changes for you as an actual customer and consumer and start providing you better products overall. This is where real competition has to come through and where AMD really has to kick in and shine. NVIDIA is leaving out a massive market of consumers, of regular gaming individuals who have money, who will spend it on new products if they're priced correctly and they provide a better value. But of course, AMD decides to be AMD. Who knows how this will turn out, and who knows what will happen with Intel after they fired a fuck ton of people just a few months back, because that has also been an entire disaster on that side. Again, I love PC gaming, but that doesn't mean that this industry doesn't have major issues as well, and who knows what's going to be happening in the future. But honestly, I'm incredibly concerned for what can happen in the space. But you know what? Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Are you NVIDIA? Are you AMD? Or dare I even say, are you on the Intel side for graphics cards? I want to hear what you guys have to say. And do you feel like NVIDIA's insane run into the AI slop space is going to be beneficial or even fall apart for them in the future? If you want to see more of this kind of content, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, my hot takes in the gaming industry like this, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 90,000 subs. And I just want to say thank you guys so very much with all of that. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more though, by getting Discord access and also emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern for the live streams on this channel. They're honestly insane. You definitely don't want to miss it. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!